Hello, welcome again to Karuna Chronicles. I'm Don, and I thank you for tuning in. So let's get back to it. When we left off, we were talking about how we develop our mental and emotional states that we have as pseudo-solidities. And they become pseudo-solidities because we attach ourselves to these things. A wrong becomes something that we enjoy the mental process of creating blame and anger, etc. And we enjoy the emotional process of being angry and so on. And now we may not be celebrating this as, oh my God, I'm so happy that I'm angry at this person. No, it's far more insidious than that. We're not really aware at what the attachment to the anger caused by whatever circumstance and condition that it arose from, but we do attach ourselves to it. And this becomes like the root of a great weed. We can take our weed eater and knock the top of the weed off, but as long as those roots are deep and holding it firm in the earth, the top is going to grow back sooner or later. And if we examine ourselves and we think to ourselves, well, I thought this way for all of these years, and now I really truly believe that I'm wrong in that thinking, and we change our mind. That's a pretty, it may take a little bit to wrap a new habit around that or just leave it alone. Emotionally, it's much tougher. The emotions are much more like the roots of the weed, and the thoughts are much more like the plant and the flowering parts of the weed, changeable. But the emotional roots sometimes grow very deep, and they're very, very hard to get rid of. The key to doing this is remembering one simple thing. Attachment is the thing we need to deal with, not the emotion itself. It's the attachment to it. So as we look at the emotional circumstance that we have created, the emotion originally was justified because that's what you felt at the time you felt it. It's the attachment to it afterwards that can be non-justifiable because that's something we chose and we created. So we want to look at the attachment, not at the emotion itself. And attachment is basically simply a repetition, like any habit is. I get up in the morning and I grab my toothbrush and I brush my teeth with my right hand. And in my entire life, I can't ever remember a single circumstance where I used my left hand to brush my teeth. So we have done the same thing with emotions from time to time, where we have simply repeated the activity of having attachment to this emotion to reinforce it and to make sure that if the mental part gets cut off by the weed eater, that it's still alive and going to survive and maybe slowly grow back. I know in my own life I've had an issue that was fueled by the drugs and the alcohol that I way overconsumed, and that condition was anger. I was angry at something and someone that, or a circumstance and a condition, let's put it that way, that occurred when I was growing up. I've often described my anger as me seeing myself as not an angry person at all. I didn't practice anger except very rarely. I was a happy-go-lucky guy and people liked me and so on, but I had this little box in my hand and it had a handle on it. It was a jack-in-a-box. And slowly I was turning this handle, and every once in a while, spontaneously, without warning, the lid would open and Jack would come out and go, "Bleh!" And the anger would erupt from this deep well within me, and it would express itself. And I would look at it and say to myself, no, that's not me, and slam that lid down as quickly and as hard as I possibly could to avoid looking at the truth that all of this energy stemmed from the anger that I had created over circumstances and conditions that existed long ago and that I had attached myself to. So my anger became sporadic following the jack-in-the-box mode, and then it also became even more deep-seated because I didn't even recognize it for what it was. Once I stopped using alcohol and drugs, that gave me space because alcohol and drugs basically numbed me to my anger and allowed me to be distracted by the joy of being drunk and stoned, I guess. I never took time to really look at the dynamic of what was going on within me. So a whole bunch of my life, maybe 40 years of my life was devoted into this abyss of unknowing, or abyss of not seeing the truth of my own suffering. And as through the kindness of my teachers and giving me exercises and so on to pathways to practice, all of this began to unravel a little bit. And slowly but surely, I came to a point where I could see that anger was a choice that I did not want to make anymore. I had thoroughly explored the anger within me, and in one moment of clarity, I was able to let it go as a habitual, unrecognized thing. Now, do I still get angry? Yes, I do. But I get angry like a human does, as a burst of spontaneous energy, and then that burst dissolves and goes away, and I don't hold on to it. I'm over it in that moment, and that's healthy because that's part of our human expression. I'm not saying that it's good to be angry or anything like that, but it's healthy to express what you feel and have the genesis, the activity, and the dissolution happen rather than deny the truth of what you're feeling. We are human beings, and we are downloaded with emotions, and we create our thoughts and all of that. So, it's not like we're trying to avoid being human. No, we're trying to perfect our humanity in the sense of understanding these things that are conditional in our lives and that cause us suffering. So in our next segment, I'm going to present the two avenues of choice that I believe that we should make in our lives, and there are only two. And we should use these two choices for everything we think, feel, do, say. Any activity that comes from us should be filtered through these two choices only. Now, as a preamble to that, I'll say that currently, when we make choices, we generally do so based on pairs of opposites. When you have opposites, you have polarity on one side and on the other side, and then a lot of space in the middle. But you have a middle. There's a place where these two come together, and there's some small space in between them where truth is, where it's not positive, or it's not negative, or it's not right, or it's not wrong, or it's not black, or it's not white. It's clear. That's what we want to get to, is clarity. And that's what we'll be presenting in our next segment. So once again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button, and if you want to find out what's coming, hit the subscribe button. We want this to be an open forum, so we welcome your comments and questions, and we'll endeavor to answer them as quickly as we can. Again, thank you very much.